Fallon, and today we are talking with one of my favorite people and one of our past clients and collaborations, the wonderful Tammy. So thanks so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
So excited. Is this your first time on a podcast?
Um, Not first, but in a first in a long time.
Awesome. Well, we're honored to have you. Before we get into the questions and everything, I wanted to talk a little bit about our story and how we met. And we usually get into this, I feel like, at some point in the episode, but it just feels right to start with it today, I think. So, Tammy and I know each other locally, and we actually met through an ask of our children's teacher. So it was the very first week of school, and we were asked to be the room parents in our children's class. And when we got together, we realized, oh, the educator and the event planner, what a dream team. And I feel like it's been a dream team since then. And thankfully, our children had the foresight to become best buds, which is
Yeah.
awesome too. But yeah, no, I'll never get over that they chose us, and we thought, oh, how lovely, so random. Like, actually, this is very strategic on their part.
They're brilliant.
But through planning our children's events and school events, we've also gone on to be more in the professional space together. And it's been so fun to see how our industries have crossed over and our paths have crossed over. I'm just excited to share your story today, but I just wanted to
Yes.
make sure to start with it.
I echo everything you just said. That one of my favorite pictures is of our two boys, and they're holding baskets of gifts for the teachers and flowers, and for the teacher appreciation or end of school, and just how much they've grown since then, and how their friendships have blossomed, and our neighborhood vibe that we have is just so wonderful. But how we can take that professionally and collaborate and be inclined to work on projects together. It's amazing.
It is. It really is. I'm forever thankful for how our children picked friends. We know we talk about it often, but it
Yes.
is really cool when you meet the parents and you're like, oh wow, this is yes, 100% yes. Yeah, no, we're excited for the summer for them and for us, which makes it fun. So back to the questions. But so today we always like to start with telling us a little bit about your journey. So you professionally have always kind of been in the hospitality event industry as far as I know you. But tell us a little bit about your journey professionally and what has led you to this point in your career.
Sure. I have a degree in hospitality and was in the industry for a while, a long time, I guess, and then shifted gears. It was like a post September 11th thing in New York City. And then I ended up being at the New York Times for a long time, which was an interesting place, obviously, of its own. But I would have opportunities to do events on weekends and for other planners and took a lot of joy in that and really learned a lot. And then when an opportunity presented itself for me to move on, it seemed like a natural kind of scary but exciting fit. And I took the leap and launched my own business and kind of have never looked back. Always, I mean, it's been a little bit of a zigzag, but it's really worked well with balancing my personal and professional goals in life. And did that in New York and then moved it, kind of grew it to Massachusetts, New England area a few years later to kind of again support personal goals and kind of do a lot of wedding and corporate events, social events, and kind of, always looking for kind of how to grow and how to develop and what's new and what's next.
Amazing. I think it's so incredible that you were able to, cross state lines with this brand and to establish yourself here and even just getting into events beyond weddings and to be able to grow in that way and develop the amazing network that you have here, I think is a testament to you and the work that you do. And it's not just work to you, it's something that you would do in your free time, like on your own. It's just you light up when we start, like your wheels are always turning when we start getting talking about, oh, and this and maybe it could be this, and like those beautiful little touches and your attention to detail. And it's just, I feel like it's so intertwined with who you are as a person, or how I see you. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
such a
definitely a
nice,
passion project.
yeah, yeah, which I think makes the work all the more special for you and for all of your very lucky clients. And our work has overlapped a little bit, but I wanted to highlight one of my favorite things that we did together, being able to, MTG Frameworks had the opportunity and the honor to be able to facilitate at one of Boston Planners Dining Club events. And it was a gorgeous holiday spread. I'll link in the show notes some of the photos just from that event. But Georgia and I always say, like, whenever Tammy asks us for something, we always say yes because we know it's going to be an incredible time. And it was just gorgeous. It was, to be in a room with like all these like powerhouse event planners and like the best in the business, and then not only that, but to be in this gorgeous like fairy tale pink holiday dream party was a really cool experience and one of our favorites. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you've been doing with your group and kind of how that's grown over the years?
Absolutely. So, moving physically myself and my business from New York to Boston wasn't quite as like, seamless or effortless as one would have hoped. It's like I was moving into a city and a state that was, had amazing, established, really high quality professionals in my field. And it was hard to differentiate myself, because I think maybe I wasn't. So there was an opportunity, and it was something that was already existing in New York City. And I would travel from Boston to New York to go to these events because they were such a high caliber. And there was the kind of what you said, like there were so many high quality people in the room, and I wanted to be there. And then I had initiated the idea of bringing it to Boston and kind of got the green light and partnered with a fellow event planner to bring this Boston Planners Dining Club to the New England area. And it's where we partner with vendors, creative partners in each category, and we create an experience for high caliber professionals in our industry and now in other industries to kind of spoil them and show them what's out there, because sometimes people, you just don't know what you don't know, and you work with the same people on a regular basis, but it's nice to have new networks and new people in each category. So when they're planning events or their clients are planning events, they have other people to refer and they have other people to work with, because we all want new and interesting ideas and experiences. One of the big benefits of this for me is that I get to give them a lot of latitude, give each creative partner a lot of latitude in their category. Well, typically the venue and I will come up with a season and a date and a concept, or even maybe just as loose as a color palette, because I'm always wanting to do something different and seasonal, appropriate for this season, because it is a really strong portfolio piece or gallery piece for everyone involved. So we don't ever want to do the same thing. I always want to show something different. And within that category, I encourage them and really hopefully inspire them to do their best work, because, it's almost like a styled shoot, but one that's consumed and it comes to life. And it's being consumed by, the tastemakers in New England who really kind of have seen it all and done it all and work really hard to create these experiences for their clients, but often don't get to be on the receiving end of that.
I love that. And it's so true. I mean, when your job is to make these beautifully curated experiences, you're probably not attending them and enjoying them in that way. Like you're working and you're behind the scenes, and like I've seen you in action day of, like pivoting and the adjusting and in real time in the guest list and this and managing all of that. It's work. It's a lot of hard work. And that reminds me of one of the events that we had done over the summer. I think something that I admire so much about you is your ability to just, I say, like, keep it moving. Just like the show must go on, and you are like right at the front, and you manage so many different elements happening in real time so well, in a way that I know I can't. So it was so grateful. We were so grateful to have your support in that and in the event that we had done over the summer, because that is not my strong suit or my experience or background, but it's something that I love to see in action, because you just absolutely shine when you do it, and then everyone has a much better time because of it. In thinking about, as you've been talking about and kind of describing your work personality and how it intertwines with who you are and your identity and your passions, I want to play a quick little game with you. I have a question to ask you that will kind of tell us a little bit about your brain, like left brain versus right brain, kind of like
Ooh,
a this or
okay.
that. And I picked one out specifically for you that I don't know the answer to, but I think I do, but I'm curious because a few of them I was like, okay, I know what she would say to this, I know what she would say to this. But for this one, I'm curious when it comes to organizing and planning, do you prefer, and I don't want to give too much information. So when you think of organizing or planning information, would you prefer a spreadsheet or a sketchbook to plan if you had to use one?
Sketchbook.
Okay. I thought so, but I wasn't
Yeah.
sure.
And it's
And
not
your
even that I'm an
host would
artist
prefer
or
the
a
spreadsheet.
sketcher, but like I just like a brain dump with a notebook or a sketchbook. Yeah.
I'm the same way. Georgia thinks in spreadsheets, and I know some people in your house would prefer a spreadsheet for sure,
Yes,
but
exactly.
just like my house. Okay, so if you prefer a spreadsheet, you are more left brain dominant. Love rows, columns, and formulas versus those who prefer a sketchbook. So you and myself prefer doodling, freeform ideas and visuals, more right brain dominant in that area. I figured, but I wasn't too sure. I guess it depends on the information that you're organizing, but yeah, just to be able to kind of put it all out there, have space, draw it up, change in real time, kind of
Yeah.
adjust as you go.
Even things that really could fit into a spreadsheet, I would still rather write them.
Yeah, it's so
Eating
funny because
charts or how things are going to play together.
I have my notebook out all the time. And we could go down a whole rabbit hole about that. I was listening to a podcast recently about how schools have been switching so much to using tech and are getting away from the idea of writing by hand or documenting information manually versus through like an AI, and how there is a bit of loss of learning, and they're trying to kind of see exactly how much learning is lost in that because a lot of people need those different modalities to learn. But I digress.
No, no, no. It's interesting.
But yeah, no, it's I think something that I've noticed in the work that we've been doing with facilitating workplace events, coaching private clients, and working across different industries is that one kind of just highlighting how everyone's brain works differently, how maybe you're more creative minded or you need that space like you said to kind of explore ideas, and how intrinsically we all have different strengths and then areas that we kind of need to work on and adjust in real time. What would you say in thinking about kind of like we've talked a little bit about your executive function profile and we've done a little bit of like goal setting and things like that. When you think of the areas of executive function, like your time management or physical organization, maybe digital organization, all of that stuff, what stands out to you that you feel, oh, I'm really strong in this area and this might be a little bit of a struggle for me? Anything top of mind?
I think it probably depends, but depends on the season, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
leading up to events, there's lots of lists and both digital and physical. I mean, I know I'm kind of depends on where I'm at because I'm not always in front of a computer. I'm not always in an office. A lot of things are on site. And I think also balancing, the two lives. It's like sometimes I will have to take calls remotely or in the car or at the park
Yep.
type of thing. So I think, using technology is really valuable and necessary. But oftentimes when I'm leading up to it and I'm in an office setting, then my tools and organization is different. And then on the wedding day or on the event, it's a hybrid of two. It's like I think I've evolved too, even though I say that I'm still very old school in terms of like, processes. I think I will have a physical copy of like things that I need, and I think that there is value in that, but I really do rely heavily on technology and electronic documents. And but so even though I maybe don't embrace all of the modern options that are out there, and some of my electronic tools are very old school. They're kind of tried and true, and like if it's not broken, don't change it. So
Mm-hmm.
while I think other planners might argue that there are more efficient ways to do things, mine still work for me, and I kind of hold true to that. That was a long answer to it, but I think I
No,
got there eventually.
I think it's important though, and yeah, it like you said, I like that you're reflecting on like kind of like the different season, right? The people that we are in the summer and the work personality that we have in the summer is going to be different than the work personality we have in the dead of January, right?
I
It's
mean, it's almost like three different hats and three different businesses too. It's like you know, pitching clients, talking to clients, getting clients to hire you, and then it's the planning the events, and then it's like the coordination and the day of and the execution of the event. So
yes.
they all kind of require different personality strengths and systems and attention to detail.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely a big strength of yours. And your memory in the way that you remember so many things that might feel like seemingly small to people and then it comes around in like this beautiful vision. You're like, "Oh my goodness, how did you know that? How did you remember that?" But I think that just adds to like the magic of it. All right, so let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. What would you say is one of the like hacks or habits or things that you do that might feel silly or it might feel like very easy to you that you would share it with a friend? So it might be like a way that you organize your week or it might be a way that you get ready for an event. What would you say is like one of your favorite habits or hacks when you think about how you work best?
I mean, I think it's a work in progress. I think giving yourself grace and being kind to yourself is important kind of always. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, silly things like filling your own cup so that you can pour for it. It's like my clients, the clients, my ideal type of clients are, investing a lot in me personally and professionally, and I want to be able to exceed their expectations. But in order to do that, I need to make sure that like all of my, ducks are in a row and so that I can show up my very best self so that I then give. So like, I've incorporated in kind of my non-negotiables. So I will take the day before to do the self-care
Yeah.
so that I literally am my very best self because being an entrepreneur and being a woman-owned business, it's like I may not get any clients from these other events, so that's like one aspect of it, but it's like you just never know who's looking or who's watching. And so, like if those things are maybe feel hard to justify or to invest in, know that it's important and you just never know what will come of it. And then too, you're starting off afterward too. You kind of feel a little bit better about the scenario. I know I deliver better when I'm like not having to worry about my hair or my nails or what I'm wearing or the comfort of my shoes or even setting my family up for success. Now that's another piece of it. So like maybe doing the meal services leading up to it, what I should incorporate, and I'm talking to myself here, but it's like having someone to clean my house like leading up to the event so that I know I'm leaving my family in the best place possible because that's not how I want to spend my time leading up to a big event
Yeah.
weekend or a big event week because like it's taxing and there's a lot going on and a lot of moving pieces and I would rather spend my time taking extra good care of my clients, but obviously I don't want my family to be neglected in the process. So I think, setting them up for success with meals and food and, an organized space so that I can fully be hands-on and
Mm-hmm.
brain in the game and not having to worry about what's happening at home.
Yeah, that's such an important piece to it is when we're working with clients, we deal with like their professional space, professional goal setting, their professional demeanor, their professional whatever their priorities are. And oftentimes the personal has to be intertwined with it, right? And we go through like that friction audit of like, oh, what is the resistance here or what is making this less ideal when you get to event day, and thinking about that piece of it is that's like it's not the invisible stuff but it feels invisible. It's not things that you take toll of until you've lived it
I
and
mean, I don't
you
even know if that's what you were asking, but those are
no
like
it's
little
it's
things.
it's
And
exactly right.
I'm even thinking now, I just ordered like 300 bottles of branded water for an event I have next month. And I'm like, oh, I'm probably going to get my car detailed so that it's, so whoever's, they're trying to offer help, they see my car because it's all, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's kind of all the
don't
other
take
part
your
of the
bag
package.
of trucks out of the back or my my
Priorities, Christine, right?
no, but it's so important thinking about how your personal and professional intertwines because that is real life and that is what is those are the tweaks that are going to make your work sustainable long term and like to your point it's your clients are going to get a better return you will get a better return. Your family, your family is covered. What is it that you can, outsource and offload when you're organizing and kind of planning? And I think you do a great job kind of holding all of that, and now to kind of like physically get it out of your brain and into like real ideas. That's where the magic is, for sure. That's awesome. What do you wish that more people outside of your industry understood about what you do? Are there any like common misconceptions or things that you think people don't quite understand the whole picture of about your process or how you work?
I think outside the industry, I don't know if they understand how valuable their network is to me. Like most of my business comes from word of mouth referrals and from past clients and I always say I'm not my target market, but so like, to past clients, to friends who, have people in their professional life or their personal life who might have a milestone situation and coming up or might be newly engaged. Obviously I'm not right for everybody, but just to keep me in mind and how that is so deeply meaningful to me and how because my business is more than just a business, it is a passion for me and it is like the gateway to, a happier life, to contributing for my family, to, giving my son more experiences and more trips and more travel and a better quality of life. So when someone thinks of me and keeps me top of mind for something that I do professionally, it's like the highest compliment they can pay me. And while I put a lot into my events, it's really wonderful when someone understands and kind of makes that connection and makes that introduction. It might not happen immediately, but just, and sometimes maybe I could be better at, keeping myself top of mind, but I think that's where we try to rely on social media, but, I know there's other opportunities to do that. But yeah, I think people that are in corporate environments oftentimes maybe don't see that, where I find like entrepreneurs or small business owners might, but I think that is just don't take that for granted because it's so, so important and we really appreciate that.
Echo those sentiments. Yeah, shout
Mhm.
it from the rooftops, right? It
I
is.
mean, it's so nice to work with people that we, know, like and trust. And if it comes from someone that we know, like and trust, like we are going to take extra, extra good care of them.
Totally. And it's an introduction is meeting someone and already having someone vetted. There's no barrier of entry. I know and trust this person. One of the networking events that we go to with one of the workshops that we've done, I think Matt Quinlan, we're going to have him on the podcast too. He talks about, I think he calls it, who do you know, or something like, who do you know that I should trust too? Or he has like a cute name for it, but the idea is similar. How do we introduce ourselves to other people and kind of like this preferred vendor list, right? Of
Mhm.
that lives in real time. And so everyone can benefit from the services and talents that we all have to offer. Okay, and then two more questions for you. I want to make sure I'm getting through everything. So, this one, my favorite question to ask always: what does success look like for you now versus when you started it in your fields, in your role, and how has that changed for you?
Um, Question. I think it's always evolving. I mean, some days I would love to retire my husband and because I'm lucky that I get to do what I love, but also I love the balance. So it's tricky. Travel is like a love language for me, and I feel like that's a big measure of success. The more adventures and the more interesting travel I can do personally and as a family and friend groups, I think that's like a real measure for me. I think also like having other sources or streams of revenue so that I think weddings will always be my like passion but they don't necessarily need to be the bread and butter. So I've got like other ideas and way to monetize services so that there's still room to do weddings, but maybe it's not the biggest space of where I'm spending my time and energy, so that the couples that I'm working with, I can devote all of my creativity and thoughtfulness and professionalism to, but I'm, kind of supporting my family in other ways.
Yeah, I love that. When you started in hospitality and in this space, were weddings that was your main
Yeah, I was thinking about it in like preparation for this. It's like when I graduated college a few years ago, I felt like I was always a little road less traveled and kind of out of the box thinker. I knew a lot of students in my industry were like going to hotels and to restaurants and to chains, and it's like it just was kind of cringy to me. And even though I'm still a hotel girl and I love a good hotel, I love events were quickly became a passion because they were always different. As I was always working in new places with new people, and I didn't kind of have the four walls and the roof or and I got to be creative, and it was always different. So I love that. Why it's really nice to go back to the same venues on occasion.
Yeah,
It's nice that I have a variety. I can work under a tent, I can work in a ballroom, I can work out of state, I can go back to New York for events.
I love that. Very cool. And my last question for you, and then I want to hear about everyone's going to want to know how to get in touch with you. But what advice would you give to maybe someone starting out like you or, in New York City one day and wanting to make it in your industry? What's your advice to someone just starting out or maybe someone who's going through a pivot professionally speaking?
I think saying yes, I think is probably a good start. I think there's so much value in working with other planners as an assistant, as an intern. I got even after I graduated, even after I'd been a professional for many, many years, it's like I was not too proud to work as an assistant. And I got paid, but the the value I got from established luxury planners in New York City is still to this day invaluable. It's like I still sometimes like reference like what would she do? What would he do? And how would they handle the situation? And those turned into like great relationships and great resources that I still kind of could and have relied on for situations. So I think that's a really piece and kind of follow your heart, find out what makes you different. I'd say I find your niche, which is tricky, but look at your life and your experiences and then kind of be authentic and be true to yourself. Don't try to copy someone, don't try to be something you're not, but kind of celebrate who you are and what makes you excited and what makes you happy. And then hopefully the ideal clients will kind of follow along. I always say I used to get like one bridezilla a year, and I'm like, well, that's really good. So whatever I put into the world, it's like it's coming back to me twofold. And then I just have that one each year who kind of, makes things interesting and gives me a couple stories that people like to hear. But that's worked itself out too, and I don't have those anymore. I think eventually too, charging your worth, knowing what you're worth, and
Yeah.
not looking at it like how much time are you putting in and what's required of you, and then really making sure that you get what you deserve and you're charging what's necessary to do the job well because no one likes to be undersold and it's a lot of work. And if you want to make it more than a hobby or more than, a part-time job, then you need to look at the numbers so that you feel good about the service that you're providing.
Excellent advice. The first thing that you said about being able to say yes to things and not even necessarily humble yourself, but just to do all aspects of the job and to do all aspects of the job from someone who has done what you're looking to do. I think that is the advice that we are constantly giving out to anyone who's, especially if clients come to us and whether it's an individual or an organization and they're looking to outsource or potentially ramp up, we always say first, like, do you understand the scope of what you're asking someone else to do? Do you understand all aspects of this job from the ground up? And I truly believe you can't unless you've done it. And I know that's easier for me to say where my background is in education and in teaching. You're constantly learning and you're constantly receiving feedback about your instruction, your facilitation. And it is a very common thing to get that feedback and be critiqued in that way and also understand all aspects. But I think that is like the just creme de la creme of advice. I echo that as well. And how can people find you, anyone who's listening, if they're wanting to get in touch with you, and what do you have on the horizon for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is at Tammy Golson, Golson, and or at Boston Planners Dining Club. That's where lots of our fun creative events live. And I'm excited. So Boston Planners Dining Club was born in the wedding and event industry, but I'm kind of excited to I am excited to branch it out into law firms and companies and firms that honor teamwork and they want to kind of foster the team building, but also have clients that they are looking to host or create experiences for. So I kind of feel like I finally figured it out because I've been doing Boston Planners Dining Club for about 7 years and I love it. But I feel like it was like, so I'm excited to kind of introduce it outside of the social aspect and see how it lands with other industries. So that's kind of what I have a corporate client now that's relatively new and I'm enjoying it much more than I ever anticipated. And so that's kind of part of what's is inspiring this. I'm learning their decision making and it's like, oh, yes, this is very much aligned with goals that I have. So
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to see where it goes as well. Thank you so much for speaking with us today and sharing your story. And I can't wait to see what's next.
thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Okay. Awesome.